What if I told you a diesel car once drove over 11,000 kilometers in 3 days without blowing up, giving up, or even slowing down? And it did it looking like a fighter jet mated with a baguette. Ladies and gentlemen, and my friend Timmy, you ever hear a diesel engine roar past you at 100 miles per hour and think that must be Bob's lawn tractor on steroids? Well, think again, because in 1965, Peugeot built a diesel that didn't just hum lullabies to taxi drivers, it screamed past every expectation and rewrote the rulebook. Let me tell you a story about a diesel car so fast it made Timmy rethink his decision to pour used fryer oil into his Citroën. This, folks, is the 1965 Peugeot 404 diesel record, the only car that made the word diesel sound sexy before Mercedes tried putting it in an S-Class. Before we blow your compression ratios, a quick shout out to our wonderful sponsors. You help keep this channel running smoother than Timmy's liver after a cleanse, which, let's be honest, is still questionable. Now back to the car that made diesel fashionable. In 1965, Poe decided to slap the world in the face with a fact. Diesel engines could be fast. Not fast for a tractor fast, actually fast, and stylish, and reliable. So they took a 1962 Peugeot 404 Cabriolet, blessed by the Italian hands of Pininfarina, and rebuilt it in France as a sleek, single-seat missile with a plexiglass dome where the windshield should be. It looked like a fighter jet met a baguette and had a baby. Why? Because back then, diesels were considered the choice of slow taxis and agricultural machinery. And Peugeot said none. They wanted to convince the middle class, the press, and every person who thought diesel meant snore that their inner engine could eat miles like a croissant buffet. The project was all about prestige. Convince middle-class buyers and international markets that diesel can be sexy, fast, and French, like Gérard Depardieu in Driving Gloves. Under the very aerodynamic hood was a 4-cylinder diesel engine. Initially a 2.2-litre prototype with about 70 horsepower, later swapped to the production 1.9-litre XD88, churning out 68 SAE horsepower, around 60 metric horsepower. Both engines had a cast-iron block, swirl combustion chambers, and a compression ratio of 21:1. And guess what? No turbo. This beast ran naturally aspirated, with nothing but pure French spite and a clever clutch fan that disconnected at speed to free up a few ponies. Not earth-shattering, but with a drag coefficient of 0.30 and a top speed of 100 miles per hour, 162 kilometers per hour, this thing ran like a caffeinated freight train. The engine was front-mounted, driving the rear wheels through a 4-speed manual gearbox. Final gearing was lengthened for speed, and clutch action? Good old hydraulic, just like the regular 404. But don't let that fool you. This was no sleepy sedan. The suspension was a mix of French flair and practical engineering. Double wishbones up front, solid axle with a panhard rod out back, and hydraulic shocks all around. Brakes? Drum brakes the size of small cheese wheels. All 4 corners with cooling fins, but no ABS, ESP, or OMG. And tires, likely Michelin X radials, pumped up harder than Bob's conspiracy theories. With the dome chopped low, the car stood just under 4 feet, about 1.2 meters. For those who dislike measuring things in football fields, it was about 14 feet 8 inches, 4.49 meters long, 5 feet is 1.68 meters, wide, and weighed in at 2,500 pounds, 1,135 kilograms, fully loaded, including spare parts, tools, and a radio system that let drivers call for pit stops. Yes, pit stops. Like it was the 24 hours of Le Mans, but with soot. How fast? 100 miles per hour. Flat. That's 162 kilometers per hour on the Montlhéry Oval. For a diesel in 1965, that was like watching your accountant win a UFC fight. It averaged over 99 miles per hour. 160 kilometers for 72 straight hours, and burned just 12 liters per 100 kilometers. At full throttle, constantly, the car set 40 records. It devoured 5,000 kilometers in 31 hours, then 11,000 kilometers in 72. 5 drivers took turns, including Roger de la Geneste, who married into the Peugeot family. That's commitment, especially when you're driving at night with barely any track lighting and an interior hotter than Timmy's third divorce. One of the greatest inventions was the Montlery snail, a mechanical cruise control. It was literally a spiral-shaped stopper behind the pedal, letting drivers rest their foot while maintaining perfect throttle. No electronics, just French genius and a touch of madness. Even the refueling was art. 80-liter diesel tanks filled in 30 seconds with custom nozzles. Brake checks, oil, snacks, existential dread, all handled in under a minute. Pit stops averaged 52 seconds. That's faster than Bob typing "they're watching us" into Facebook. Now let's talk money. This exact car? Never sold. Museum piece. It's priceless, literally. Peugeot keeps it in their museum. You could offer a $1 million and they'd laugh in French. Look, the 404 diesel record wasn't just fast for a diesel. It was right for its time. It changed minds, proved endurance could be beautiful, and outlasted even Timmy's commitment to gym memberships. It was clever, focused, and a symbol of French tenacity. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the car that made diesel cool before Dieselgate made it uncool again, hit that subscribe button harder than a piston at 4,500 revolutions per minute. And remember, if Timmy ever offers you a ride in his homemade diesel go-kart, politely decline and run. See you next time on Cool Ideas, where we salute weird machines, good design, and glorious over-engineering.